your host, Mimi Banks, founder of MB Social, and I'm here, as always, with my co-host, dermatologist and dermfluencer, Dr. Dustin Portela.
Glad to be here. We got kind of an interesting topic, but an important one today.
Today, we're going to talk about scams and all the scams that happen on social media. Because you know what? There are a lot.
Once you get started on social media, pretty quickly, you're probably going to notice people offering you engagement on your profiles. You're going to encounter phishing attempts and all sorts of different scams that could compromise your brand integrity or make you lose your accounts altogether. So we're going to kind of run over some of the most common things that we see and things that come across my inbox on an almost daily basis so that you can avoid them, report them, and just don't fall for them, because I've seen people fall for scams and lose access to their accounts permanently.
So one of the first things that comes across my inbox are fake collaboration deals. They come from a lot of L'Oreal brands from CeraVe. Typically, these ones are a very generic email that say, actually from the person that they have learned is the head of influencer. So in this case, I had one from CeraVe and we happened to work with them. So I was able to forward it right to them. But you'll notice that the email is not a real email. It's not a L'Oreal email, and it will be in choppy English. I think those are the first things that actually speak to me. Is I always look at the email address and I always question whether the English is grammatically correct.
Right. And when you're working with almost any brand, obviously a brand like CeraVe, the emails are going to come from L'Oreal. But if you're getting a proposal from a smaller independent brand, you should still be seeing that email come from the domain name of that brand. If they
That's
have
right.
a website for, skincare brand X, it should say, from Emily at skincarebrandx.com. And if they're using a Gmail address or some other, free domain for their email, that's a red flag that you have to look out for right away. And there's sometimes two different ways that people will use their, fake emails like this. One is they will be grammatically incorrect. And I have heard that that's not always an accident, that sometimes they intentionally make the text, very, broken, because the reason is that if you're dumb enough to fall for that kind of email, you're probably going to go all the way on their scam. This is like the classic Nigerian prince, where most people will read that, that a Nigerian prince wants to send you money and know immediately this is a scam. But obviously, thousands of people have fallen for it because they don't catch on to the bad grammar and bad English that's used. But sometimes they will try to be very sophisticated in their approach. So you do have to be skeptical when you get a brand deal, especially if it's not coming from the official domain name of the brand.
And especially if it's someone you have worked with before, then you can quickly check, or a brand you haven't worked with and the deal seems too good to be true.
So when you see these come across your desk, Mimi, what is the objective typically? What are they trying to get out of you as an agency?
Well, it's really interesting because to me, they say, dear, and then they'll say Mimi Banks, and you can see that they pulled my Instagram username. So already I know that there's something going on there. But they propose a fake collaboration. So they ask me to collaborate on X brand. I'm this person from CeraVe. We love your content. And we think we have an opportunity for you and they usually say, they put a dollar sign and they'll say USD, and then they will have some monetary value, which is usually like anywhere from $25 to $500. And it describes CeraVe a little bit, but again, in choppy English, and then it's signed off from someone from the brand. But really, it's about a brand collaboration.
So do you get a sense for what they're trying to accomplish out of that? Obviously, they either want your information or
Right.
money from you. Have they ever said, we need to get your bank account details so we can send you this money? Or
I've never responded. I usually just send it right to the brand, but it's usually the start is a collaboration deal.
But that's probably the objective, is that they'll need to get your bank account.
Yeah. Or they want your details, or they'll send you a link to participate. And then when you click on the link will be a phishing scam to get your login, or say, here's a link. We just need to see your back end rate. So we need to see your analytics or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think everybody knows what phishing is, but if you don't, what is happening there is that you're clicking a link, and let's say that you think you're going to Instagram, and the link might even say Instagram, but if you hover over the link on your computer or you press and hold it on your phone, it will show you what the link actually is before you have to click on it. and they're using the hyperlink technology to actually mask a different link that is not to Instagram. But if you go to the page, it will look exactly like the Instagram login page. And you'll think, oh, all I got to do is sign in with my name and
That's
email
right.
here. And that's, as soon as you do that, you've just transmitted your name and your password to them, where they'll very quickly log into your account and change your password.
That's actually very true. And that's happened to some of my clients where they've gotten some offers or they get something on their inbox that could be a giveaway. So there's a lot of fake giveaways also where someone says, I want to partner with you for X or Y. Again, you want to join this giveaway, click here, fill out the form, and then the form is the exact same thing that Dustin just mentioned.
Beware of emails as they're coming in. There are some simple ways to just check for the validity. And when in doubt, it's better not to proceed with something. The other thing that I see a lot that come to my inbox are people that are wanting to promote your Instagram account. They want to promise you lots of likes and comments and new followers. And the reality is you can never get somebody that's going to give you tens and hundreds of thousands of followers. They're all going to be bots. They're going to be fake accounts. And I've, seen people where I check their account and they've got so many followers, and the next day they're 200,000 higher. And that just doesn't happen naturally in the real world. And yes, they have more followers. Their account by vanity metrics might look better, but they're not actually getting better engagement from it. And they're not having influence over people when they do that, because they're not real people.
And it's obvious with brands. So while those vanity metrics or the appearance of having large followers is very appealing, it becomes very obvious, especially with the people that reach out to you, 100,000, 200,000 followers, and then they have 54 views on their content.
Yeah, that becomes a big problem, and it's obvious. And many people don't know these brands, because they're investing so much money into their social, outreach. They have pretty sophisticated tools that they subscribe to that can pull a lot of metrics off of these accounts. And there's even free versions that you can go. And I've done this with other accounts before, where I'll put in somebody's name and it tracks how many followers they gain over time. And you'll see that they gained 100,000 followers in a day. And you're they bought followers there. So,
or maybe they were on TV.
Maybe they were on TV. So, and you can have a reel go viral where you'll get a lot of followers, but it's usually going to be, kind of crescendo over a few days and come down. But this is like an immediate spike that you see. And then you go to their page and you see that, they're getting 54 views on a reel, and that's not very realistic.
No, not at all. Probably if you haven't seen it directly in your inbox, they're probably all hidden in your Instagram requests. I have so many of them, and people follow up like crazy because people do want those followers. So let's go down the path. Let's say by accident, you do click on something, what you should do. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, obviously if you click on something and, it takes you to something that looks like a login page, for example, I mean, the best thing you can do is just close it out and you're probably going to be safe as long as you didn't start inputting any data into the fields. And the reality is, if they have written the code in such a way, you don't even have to click submit. As soon as you start typing, that could be recorded for the people on the back end. So if you do start typing something in and then you realize, wait, this isn't the true Instagram.com, you should immediately go into your account and try to change your password. And another thing that you should absolutely have on all of your social media accounts is two-factor authentication. And that's where you're either using an authenticator app or you're receiving a text message with a 6-digit code, where even if somebody has your password and your login name, if they put that in, they're still going to need that code, which should only be coming to your phone. And your account is compromised and you should change your password, but that is kind of a second line of protection. And I have a couple of Instagram accounts they're not my main account. So I also own the Instagram account at Dermatology and at Idaho. And obviously those names are very desirable on Instagram. And almost every day, if not, at least every week, somebody is trying to log into those accounts. And I get alerts all of the time.
Oh, really?
That say, we're sorry you weren't able to access your account. Click this link to reset your password. So people are going on there and they're putting in, the username and then clicking forgot password, hoping that they can find a way to reset the password and get into my account and steal it from me. But I have two-factor authentication on everything. Those emails are coming to me. They're not going to them. But every every week at the least, somebody is trying to take those accounts from me.
I've had that happen a few times on mine, but I can only imagine the frequency with yours.
Mm-hmm.
Two-factor authentication is super important. You can even get those codes now on Instagram. They'll be able to share the backup codes with you immediately.
Yeah. And those are things you should never give out to anybody that is asking for them.
And so what are some best practices now for staying safe? So turning on two-factor authentication, having a strong password.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Making sure that the email that is tied to that account is one that only you can access. And if you do have a team that has access to those, that information, you have to make sure that they're trusted individuals that are not going to do something, untoward towards your data. So those types of things are really crucially important to maintain the integrity of your account and therefore your brand.
And also Google the people that contact you, look on LinkedIn, or work with partners that you trust. Because when you get those random emails, you don't want to fall for a scam.
Right. And you don't want to miss a legitimate opportunity as well. So you do need to do a little research, reach out to a colleague and say, hey, I got a brand proposal from this person. Have you ever worked with them before? And, that can be a helpful resource as well.
And also find out the email. So you can say, have you worked with them before? And what is their email this? Because I think that's the newest scam is they say that they are the person from the brand, but it's the wrong email.
Yeah. Another scam that I have had, friends fall for, unfortunately, are really promising collaborations. So they get outreach from somebody who states that they're from a really well-known podcast, for example, that wants to have this person on their podcast to discuss a health topic or something. And it's like a really incredible opportunity. Yeah. And so what they do is they spoof the email so it actually looks like it's coming from the person, but that may not be the domain that their team uses. And you're never talking with the host of the podcast. So let's say, for example, it's Lewis Howes, who has a great podcast, and they'll say, I'm on his team and he would like to have you on the podcast, and we're going to live stream it on Facebook. And in order to live stream it, we need to link your account. And so essentially, they will have you go in and add them as a manager on your Facebook page. And as soon as you make them an admin or a manager on your Facebook page, they go in and they change the permissions for you. So you've just made them an admin on your professional Facebook page, and that gives them the ability to kick you off of your Facebook page and you lose access to it. And there was a dentist in my hometown who had grown over 100,000 followers on his Facebook page, and he was kicked out. And now that page posts products in India, for example. So they completely co-opted his audience and are pitching completely different products just because they wanted a large number of people to see these. And there was nothing that he could do. He reached out to Facebook and couldn't get any help. And the platforms are notoriously unhelpful when it comes to things like this. It's very hard to get them to help you get your account back.
So do all the things beforehand so it doesn't get to that point.
Right. So if anybody is ever asking for access to your account, you should never be adding their email as an admin or a manager on your page. If they need access into your analytics and things, there are professional tools like Tracker and other things that have very specific permissions for you to see certain things, but it's not making them an admin of your page or anything.
That's true. There are specific influencer tools that can pull the data anyway, or if people want your analytics, you can send them screenshots too.
And you don't need to give somebody else access to your page in order to go live. You can do joint lives, and we see that all the time on both TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook.
Thank you for joining today. We hope we gave you some valuable information and help you avoid some common scams like phishing, impersonation, fake followers.
If you guys have any questions, or if something pops up and you are not sure if it's a legitimate offer, shoot us a question. We'd love to see your questions and comments by DM on Instagram. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you on the next episode.